Hi, I'm Apollonia. You may remember me from Purple Rain as leading lady to Prince, or from my band Apollonia 6. I've starred in films, TV shows, and I've been on the cover of magazines all over the world, including Playboy. I was also an LA Rams cheerleader. I'm going to take you with me. Welcome to my podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. Hi, I'm Apollonia, and welcome to Apollonia Studio 6. I'm here with Mr. Seth, my co-host. And who's our guest today?
Oh my God. Our guest is the one and only, unbelievable, ultra-talented, actress extraordinaire, Miss Amanda Wyss.
Yay!
That was the best intro.
Wasn't it? We love you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love you guys.
Oh, thank you for coming. What an honor.
I know. This is great. Yes. Amanda Wyss. Now, we go back a long time. This is just incredible. And then I'm going to get choked up because I haven't seen her since COVID because of...
I know we FaceTimed once or twice.
Yeah,
but then it gets so muddled.
Yeah.
It's hard to
do
all the right things to stay in touch.
The last time I saw you, we went over to the Garlands.
Yes.
It's like our little hangout. We sit outside and we had lunch. And the next thing we know, we were just like locked down. It was a horrible situation, man. How have you been doing with COVID and your life just in general?
The last 2 years, on one hand, they feel like such a blur and went by so quickly. But in hindsight, but while it was happening, I used to describe it to anybody that would ask that I felt like I was slogging through pudding. Like I just, because every day was the same. And, unless you were on set when production opened back up. But it was just a lot of trying to figure out how to stay active at home. I joined an online yoga studio. I joined master class, and I took any course I could think of. I learned how to do EFT tapping.
Oh, wow.
I took a meditation challenge. So I tried to stay really busy. And then on another hand, I'm such a homebody that in a weird way, other than I had to stay home, my life didn't change that much because I love being home. Steven, who I live with, on the other hand, was going stir crazy and would just get in his car and drive, and he'd make phone calls from his car and go look for Clorox wipes and 5 hours away. So we both coped with it in different ways. And now I feel like I'm in between times. Like I don't quite feel like everything in my life is up and going. But I don't find it altogether unpleasant, other than the mayhem and sadness of it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've been in touch with friends and family?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of texting and WhatsApping and Zoom calls. We did do a lot of family, my siblings, Zoom, get-togethers. We played. You could get games online, so we'd do a game night. But even that kind of stuff, that was at the beginning, and then everyone's like, I just can't. I don't know. So I feel like I didn't do as much to stay in touch with everybody as I could, other than texting. I did a lot of texting. And what about you?
Well, you and I are the same. It's like we're home buddies, introverts, but at the same time, because of our careers, what we do, that's to be an extrovert, right? And I found it difficult too. Going out. I didn't mind staying in. If I have an excuse to go out, then it's like, we have to go out and have meetings. And I think my first time going to the supermarket was with Samantha, who you just met, our musical director. And I was terrified. I had gloves and the mask and everything. And she led the way with the shopping cart. I was kind of hiding behind her, and looking at all the people. And I thought to myself, where are we? Where am I, feeling nervous and, I became almost obsessed with fear because a person in my life, I didn't, my mother at the time was, as you know, sick. Anyhow, you don't want to get it, so I was, going out at night, 3 a.m. to check my truck to see if I was wiping down the handles. The steering wheel. Oh, shit. Yeah. My phone. 4 a.m, as I wake up and I was like, panicking, I didn't clean the phone and, and it was just, this weird feeling of not being in control.
Yes.
That's what it was instill.
Really coming up against that big.
Yeah.
And I relate to everything you're saying. It's been an interesting time to try to stay open to learning and growing about these things that are coming up, like this fear and my lack and the feeling out of control.
Right.
And afraid of other people.
Yes.
I've never been completely afraid of other people. And I still, if I'm at the grocery store and somebody gets too close, I every bit of my energy, even though I'm like trying to be a good person, I am just like back up. I don't say it, but it's all there.
Yeah.
Right.
Like people are like, whoa. And it's really interesting. And I wonder if this is like some deeper fear that's just been unearthed from all of this, or if it's just that this has been a really scary time and it's scary. I don't know.
No, you're right. You said it tests our fears. I mean, you like you said, you go to the market, and I was at the market, getting ready for the show, and I had to blow my nose, and I had my mask on. So I didn't blow my nose because I was afraid that people would think that. So what happened? I'm like, my nose is running in the market, and I'm just using my mask to clean. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then I know this is really terrible, but it's somebody coughs, right? Just like, you run.
Yeah.
But I was saying to Seth, I said, back in the day, we used to cough to cover up a fart. But nowadays we fart to cover up a cough. I know that sounds horrible, but for sure, you don't want to be coughing in public or sneezing or anything.
No, because it's literally like everyone's just like,
It's the truth.
it's like
I'm like,
you dealt it. Where are you? Yeah.
And I'm like,
I remember.
You did it.
Yeah, I remember 2020. I remember literally being in Ralph's, and I was in one of the aisles, and somebody coughed, and the whole aisle turned around and looked. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I looked too. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Everybody looked.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's rough.
It's really interesting, and I have noticed. I mean, even being on sets, I've been working on a show that has younger people on it, and they're just so much more comfortable with what's happening. Yes. And so I'm up against like, well, Granny here's a little nervous about what's, stop hugging me.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I didn't realize what a control freak I was until this, and really trying to be open to having this not have been a waste of time on my personal journey, so that I come out of this a little more self-aware, hopefully a better person, hopefully closer to God, hopefully, more in the flow of better things maybe.
Yeah.
And it's being home with just yourself and then being all this fear and the control and stuff. Like I really it's unearthed some things that have been hard to look at.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's, it's a good process. And it's just, I just don't know. And you know what, part of the thing about this, we're still in it. So it's hard to articulate it still for me, because I'm in the process of it, and I'm not able to articulate because I'm slogging through pudding.
Yeah.
I'm like
still in
slogging
it.
through pudding.
We're still in it.
I mean, it's, a new variant now, and is there going to be another one and more boosters? And is this, going to be this way forever? Are we going to be, have to find another planet to live in? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been watching Ancient Aliens a little too much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that show.
I knew it.
I love that show.
Well,
I know it's just strange, but I do have to say, as far as like running or being outside during the day, I totally dig the mask for sunscreen. It's like the best sun protection ever right now. And I'm like, I just put on mascara. It looks like you're all done. So like, I don't know. Like I'm not ready to give up the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm finding some beauty effects for it.
Wow.
Well, I think that I think if nothing else, I think one of the hardest, I don't know if it's the best or the hardest thing, is that staying at home has really made a lot of people have to look at themselves and self-reflection. I think that's one reason why a lot of relationships have not lasted through COVID.
True.
Is that, when you don't have anywhere to run and you don't have anywhere to go and you're just either stuck with yourself or stuck with your partner, and you really have to, a lot of hard truths come out. Just like as you were saying, a lot of stuff comes up, and when you have to just deal with yourself.
Yep, that's easy.
But in some ways, it can be very rewarding. It can be a beautiful thing, but
because you didn't break up with your person. Well, like if you could sustain a relationship during COVID, then
without any
mine didn't. Mine didn't.
I'm sorry.
No, but you know what? It was just, there is a time of self-reflection, and you do you get to a point where you ask yourself, is this the kind of relationship that I really want?
Right.
And I think that it's almost like, if you're a person who is, if this makes sense, if you were a person who was a former addict who got into a relationship when you were an addict and then you become sober. When you become sober, you see your relationship from different eyes. And then you start asking yourself, is this a relationship I really signed up for? Because now you're seeing it differently. You're not seeing it from an intoxicated place. You're seeing it from a very sober place. So it's really different, but and I'm a person that, and it was for me, it was painful, but it wasn't hard feelings, because I had to say that, you always want things to last forever. Or not always, but when you enter into certain relationships, you want them to last forever. But what I've learned is sometimes relationships are just vessels. And they're just pathways to take you somewhere else. That's what a lot of people find hard to come to grips with, because they want it to be forever. And they want it to last forever. But sometimes that's not the plan. Yeah. It's just a vessel to get somewhere else.
How about those
on another street
that stay on the same street because they're accustomed to that address?
Yeah,
it's like a great place to visit, but you don't want to stay there.
Sometimes you don't want to live there.
Yeah, and you don't know that you shouldn't be living there, but
anyway.
Well, it keeps you really present, though. That's the thing, I think, that being in lockdown with your significant other, there you can ruminate about the past.
Yeah.
The future, especially at the beginning, was like a grab bag of fear, and who nobody knew what
is it doomsday. What is it?
Yeah, what's going on? And so really, all you had is the present without distraction. And I think that. I think we did pretty well because Steve drove in his car all day. He drove around looking for Clorox wipes and toilet paper. And by the way, he was a great hunter. He brought back all good things.
Groceries.
Yes.
He found stuff. I don't even know where he went, but he always seemed happy, and it made me happy. Yeah,
that's so nice.
Good.
That's great. Now we got to start off by. I want to take a trip back where you were born. You're from Southern California.
Yeah.
Where exactly from?
I was born in Manhattan Beach, California, which
surfer girl.
Just total surfer girl. Totally, see? Just south of LAX there. And I mean, literally, you and I have talked about this. My life in that era was like living in a Beach Boys song. It's just, that's what Manhattan Beach was like. It's not like that now. It's different, but it was a super small town. We didn't really go anywhere. I mean, we were like real simple folk in my family. I didn't go on an airplane till I was 17. I thought Hollywood was a day's drive away.
Right.
Like I might as well have been on a farm in Oklahoma. I just didn't really know much about the world around me. I wasn't very sophisticated. But it was a beautiful place then to grow up. But it might have also just been the era, the late 60s, early 70s. Not that I'm that old, but if I was that old,
If you were.
that era, it was like politically crazy, but it was also kind of innocent in a lot of ways. And I had a sister I have a sister who's 9 or 10 years older than me. So I got to see like the teenagers during that time, like protesting the war and
Make love, not war.
yes. Yeah. And they would take me and my little sister and my little brother and to all their like kind of hippie things. And like we're always, going to hear a band play and, with our little coveralls and no shirt and flowers painted on our face. And so like it was just kind of like magical, the environment of that time, I thought, in the whole beachy kind of hippie.
What was the music you were listening to, let's say, at that age with your sister being older? What do you remember? Your 45s?
Yeah.
You had a record player?
We had a record player, and then he had the little disc that you could play your 45s
Yes.
on. That little thing. I used to love those. And then you could, every now and then the dog would get it, and you'd be like, I can't listen to my thing. Well, I was super and still am super into the Beatles.
Yes.
I just love the Beatles.
What's your favorite, if there's a favorite Beatles song?
Oh my gosh, there's quite a few, but Hey Jude.
Oh, yeah.
I can't, if I even start to hear that song, I just feel emotional about it, but I can't not listen to it. I just think it's so pretty. And there's so many, but that I think hands down is my favorite.
That's a beautiful song.
So pretty. And then through my sister, I mean, I was really young, but I got into Bob Weir. I love the Grateful Dead. Super big Bob Dylan fan. My very first concert, 7th grade, Bob Dylan at the Forum.
Really?
First concert.
First concert. Wow,
That's
Bob.
So, but that's because I had a cool older sister.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. What about you? What music did you listen to?
I don't know. What was I listening to? The same stuff. The Beatles. You and I are the same age. We're like, 23, 24 now?
Yeah.
I love all Beatles. I think it's Strawberry Fields.
So
Baby, You're a Rich Man. If I Fell.
that's
If I Fell. Oh, my God. I hear that and I'm like,
yeah.
I can't hear it without like tearing up. But yeah, those, Beach Boy,
Yeah,
God
the
Only
Beach
Knows, Feel Flows, all of that stuff. So you're middle or youngest?
I was born the middle, but my older brother passed away when we were little, so I became the second oldest. Then there were 4, and so I was the second oldest.
Right.
But I think I still have. I think as you're born, that's who you are. I have the whole middle child, like it's always Marsha.
You're right. No, I didn't want to say it. Marsha. Oh man! Now being brought up, beachside. Did you ever body surf or surf?
I did. I was a pretty good body surfer. I love body surfing. And I liked boogie boarding. And I tried surfing. I surfed a little bit, but I was just never very good at it. I think I got even though I'm like Irish and low to the ground, I'm sturdy from the waist down. I just didn't have very good balance. I just never got the hang of it. You surf.
Yes.
Yeah. But I love the ocean. I mean,
yeah, we're beach people.
Yeah.
It's like born and raised there.
Yeah. My uncle taught us to swim by literally when we were, I think I was 1 year old. He threw me in the ocean.
Yeah, that's same here.
And he's like, look, my mom's like, he's like, she pounds lips. She knows what she's doing. She didn't drown. She can swim now.
That's exactly. I don't know what it is.
I know people can't do that nowadays, but
yeah,
we were hardier folk back then.
Our parents would get arrested now, right?
Totally.
But man, crazy. So those times you were talking about, your sister Woodstock, and I remember, Stop Teenage Pregnancy. We used to collect the STP oil stickers. Stop Teenage Pregnancy, STP. Yes. So you remember? Do you remember where you were when like Bobby Kennedy was assassinated? Because we were a little bit older.
Yeah, I think I was in the 4th grade. I was in Mrs. Prote's class.
See,
And I remember we were outside the classroom and she lined us all up and said, I have some news to tell you, and told us. And I mean, I didn't really understand it. I mean, I understood it, but I didn't. And I have this vivid memory of all the teachers that day lining us up. Obviously, they called all the parents and people were coming to get us. They all had little transistor radios and were listening to the news. And one of the teachers was holding it right here. I just totally remember that. And some of them were crying. And so I knew it was a massive event that was scary. And I think as a child, the first thing I internalized it was that I wasn't safe.
Right.
I wasn't sure what it meant, but I knew if the adults were that upset, I wasn't safe. And so with that, I have such a vivid memory of that day.
Wow. So much stuff that, I mean, historical things that happened when we were, I mean, in those 60s, it was quite, revolutionary.
Do you remember where you were when that happened?
Watching it on TV. My parents were watching it. My dad was a big, Kennedy fan. Also, Martin Luther King. I remember my dad was like bawling. Oh, it was just, you remember those things growing up.
Yeah.
They kind of like, they mold your personality.
Yeah.
So then you go into the 70s and then you decide at that age, that decade to be an actress. How old were you when your very first acting job?
I was 11 and
Wow.
I was cast in a play in LA. I was cast in a William Inge play called The Innocents.
Okay.
And I played Flora. Apparently anybody that knows that play.
Yeah, it's William Inge. I mean, that's
Yeah. It's heavy
wow.
material, for
11-year-old.
yeah.
Really?
So but it was fun and I really enjoyed it and I was working with amazing actors that were really supportive. And I think I didn't, especially starting it, Flora has a lot of dialogue and I remember it was the first time I realized people were counting on me and I had to succeed. Like I had to figure out how to memorize this play.
Right.
And it wasn't like I came from a family that was a show business family. And I mean, I was just totally on my own, seeking this out. And then the following year at the same theater, I did The Bad Seed. I played Rhoda in The Bad Seed.
Now, that was just you wanting to be an actress? Did your parents support you? Did they agree that that's what you should do? Did they drive you to, the auditions? How did that all?
My older sister was studying theater arts at UCLA, and I think that's what kind of planted the seed that I didn't even know that you could do that. That just wasn't a possibility. Like growing up, anytime anybody asked me what I wanted to be, I would say a lawyer.
Right.
I don't know why. It's just so funny, but I just had that in my head. And then, so no, I did not have a ton of support. I mean, it wasn't a lack of support really, but I mean, sometimes like, my dad would, like when I started doing commercials as a young teen, my dad would take the day off work and he would be my guardian on the set. But really everything else, like I would ask neighbors if they would drive me. When I was, I think that's when I realized like I was working so hard at it that it must be what I want to do. Because I had to really like seek out. I'm like, I wonder if Lucy Scranton will drive me to to Hollywood for my audition today. So
wow. So you were just a little girl. Who was your first agent?
Mary Grady.
Mary Grady?
Yeah. The famous kid agent.
I didn't know that.
She saw The Bad Seed and took me on. And then I was only 12 and I didn't really then start pursuing it till I was 17. It was just, I was up against too much at home and trying to make that happen. I mean, as a kid without support. So it was more like when I got my driver's license, I could more easily pursue those things. And then when I was 14, I got a commercial agent, the Charles Stern Agency.
Okay. I've
And-
heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were big.
They were really big. And then at that time, my two sisters were also doing commercials. So we got called in together all the time.
I see.
And so that worked out pretty well because my older sister then would drive us. Because really, my whole life was about managing my rides to and from
Right,
places.
yeah.
Like, how do I get from A to B? My life hasn't changed. I'm still like crazy about driving.
Amazing. Mary Grady, she was like first and foremost agent for, she had like the Brady Bunch and like the Family Affair kids. So they were very well known for having kids.
Wow. So she had all the big
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
child
And
stars.
she saw you doing
The bad seed.
Bad Seed. And that, when I read that, I was researching, right? I started laughing. I said, because she was perfect for that.
It was so.
She's got that personality where she could just switch it. She's such a brilliant actress.
Oh, you're very kind.
No,
A
but that
true
was perfect.
story. My dad was sitting in the audience one night, and the reviewer for the LA Times was sitting behind him, and he didn't know that it was my dad. And he leaned over to the guy next to him and said, "I wouldn't let that little bitch in my house for all the money in the world." My dad was like, "She's apparently doing a good job."
That's a great story. The Bad Seed, black and white, Patty McCormick.
Oh,
See?
she was so good.
I
in
remember
it.
this.
Yeah.
I mean, just that boy.
And if you ever see the movie The Innocents, it's so creepy, and I mean, they're both of them are very dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of darkness, now you started, you were saying doing theater, right? I know that Seth and I have been, going over all your accolades, and it's just, I'm trying to put all the pages in order, and there's just, you have such a rich history in your work. I mean, it's incredible. I don't even know where to start. That's why I handed him the pages right now, just to, take a good look here. So from doing then theater, you get an agent, Mary Grady. Like I said, I know Mary. I met her years later before she passed away. And I met her because then a lawyer that I know retains the ownership of her name now.
Oh, wow.
I used to call Mary because I would, hey, your kid should be in films. Hey, does that kid have an agent? And I would send Mary kids. And one day she goes, why don't you come in? Let me meet you. And I was like, and I was like, she's a wonderful lady, much older. But, she was like the agent for kids. Now it's Cindy Osbrink.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Osbrink. So
that.
they have, kids. But I didn't know that she was with Mary Grady. That's so
and
great.
she was great too because she would excuse me like if I had an audition I could go to her, and she was just super supportive and helpful, and like a little coach,
Right.
and
She did that
yeah,
for you.
like all that kind of stuff. I think that's I mean I think that's why she was so successful with all the
Right, the
young
kids.
actors, because most people aren't coming from a show business home where somebody would know how
Right.
to coach a
How
kid.
long were you with her?
Until I was about 17, and then I went with the agent I still have, Aaron Connor. At the time was with it was like Rifkin, David, blah 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 blah,
Yeah, I
and then
remember
they
them.
were Triad, and then they merged with William
Triad.
Morris.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then she split off, and I mean it's it's a million years of now it's just Aaron.
Yeah. Wow.
What was your first big movie break?
I would say Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, even though I had a small role in it, I mean, it was the first big studio.
Yeah.
It's not small role.
Well,
I mean, come on. So, okay, go ahead. I am all excited.
So that was, of course, a iconic film.
Yeah.
And what's a great Fast Time story for you?
Wow.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, there's a couple.
Okay.
And the one thing I'm going to say before a story, the thing that I think is so interesting about Fast Times
Yes.
is that literally every single actor in that movie either went on to do three things: huge movie stars, like journeyman character actors like me, or left the business and are hugely successful. Like it's just the most successful list of people
Yes.
in. I mean, the movie stars from that, it's just insane.
Yeah.
But I remember doing a scene in the burger stand, and I looked up and Sean Penn had come in to watch, and I was like, I went over, I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I like watching you work. I was like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, so I was thought, because he was so cool, and and a lot of the young people in that film were from New York, and I was his California kid, so I felt like a little not as hip as the rest of the people. So I thought that he was incredibly cool, and
You guys were similar though, you and Sean, because he was Malibu kid. He was born in Santa Monica.
Yep.
Both surfer kid.
Yeah, he was really nice. And actually everybody on that set was really nice. And then I have to say, but the most fun scene to film was the dance scene at the end to Moni Moni.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, it really felt like you were at the most fun party. And I love Eric Stoltz, and I got to dance with him the whole time. I adore him. He's such a great actor and a good person. And just every day with Amy Heckerling, it was like having like the coolest big sister on the set. And, and one day, because Cameron Crowe wrote it, obviously, Nancy came to the set.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I can't even do anything. Because that was just, they were so hugely iconic. Heart.
Yeah.
I'm just blathering. Just Nancy. And so that might be also another really fun day, of which neither have anything to do with acting in the movie, but
Well, those are great though. Those are the memories. Those
You
are
think about those. Now, you did an anniversary, and it came out, and was it Newsweek or Time? There was something that came out, and they had to do a class reunion photo.
Vanity Fair.
Oh.
I know. It was
Yes.
for like the Oscar issue, or I think it was, I forget. Yeah, because I know after we did it, I got invited to the Vanity Fairs. The Vanity Fairs.
The Vanity Fair
The Vanity
after
Fairs Oscar party. Vanity Fair. But that was really fun to go do and see everybody.
Oh, so you went to that year you got to go to the party.
I didn't go.
Oh.
I didn't go because I was filming and I couldn't go.
Oh, well, that's good. You're working, so it's okay.
Yeah, but that was the only time I've ever been invited. I should have gone. I should have just like called in sick. I'm sorry, I can't come to the set today. I have to go to the Vanity Fair Oscar party.
So that shoot, what was that like? Seeing everybody, older, married, some successful. Was everybody there?
Everybody was there except for I think Phoebe, Jennifer, and one other person They were filmed in New York and photoshopped in. But yeah, a lot of the people.
Was Sean there that day?
Sean was there that day.
Good for him.
Everybody was there, and it was interesting. It was like everyone was sort of shy and quiet in a way, but happy to see one another. But it wasn't like it was very reserved.
I got you.
It was a lot of years had passed.
Forrest Whitaker.
He is just dreamy.
Whitaker in there.
I had the biggest crush on Forrest Whitaker.
He was so funny in that. Oh my God.
He's so good in everything.
Yep.
Everything. Forrest, I'd love to be in a movie that you direct.
Yeah, there you go. Put it out
I
there.
love his work.
Yeah.
And he is just so gentle.
Yeah, chill.
He's gentle.
That voice.
Yes.
His voice.
I just find him, like, the way he speaks, he's thoughtful, and it's like he sees through you a little bit, and he can mine the truth. Yeah. And I think as an actor, getting to work with somebody that's going to look at you like that, to help you find your most authentic beat.
Yep.
In a calm way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. That's, God, how lucky. Now, you still maintain like friendship. I think you're still friends with Jennifer, Jason.
I'm not. I mean, we're acquaintances. We were friendly for a while. It's weird throughout the years. I was friends with Eric for a while, and I mean, we all are friendly when we see each other, but then it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I see Kelly Maroney sometimes. I see. Now I can't think of anybody. So different times through the years, we all, it's always fun to run into one another. But I think that the two that really stayed close friends are Phoebe and Jennifer. I think that they forged a friendship that has lasted all these years.
Yeah.
So now you were gonna have another.
No, I was going to say, so after Fast Times comes Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Yes. Before that,
Okay.
I did a TV movie with Lonnie Anderson, which is how I ended up with the audition for Nightmare on Elm Street because Wes had seen it.
Oh, wow.
I found that out many years later, but I did this movie called My Mother's Secret Life with Lonnie Anderson. And it was an interesting story because I got cast in it. It was ABC Circle Films at the time they did all the big movies. And it started out to be me and Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, wow.
And at the table read, she just did not want to play my mother. So she left the film.
Really?
And I never understood what it was. I never had anybody to ask. Maybe she thought I looked too old to be her daughter, or, I mean, I was 20, but whatever. I mean, and I literally looked 12. But I think she was literally one of the most beautiful people I'd ever seen in my entire life. Wow. And I was crushed that she didn't love me and adore me. But ABC Circle Films decided they kept me instead of her.
No way.
Yeah. And then Lonnie Anderson ended up doing it, who's just dreamy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she was dating Burt Reynolds at the time. And so it was just a really fun experience.
Yeah.
You know, I got to go spend the night at her house and try on all of her furs. And she had all these, a safe filled with all these jewels. And
Oh my God. How old were you?
20. And I was like such a rube so I was just like, oh man, look at all this stuff. It's so pretty. and she had a daughter, I think was a little younger than me, but she was just such a good mom. And she made me fried corn for breakfast in the morning. And I was like, fried corn? This is the best thing I've ever had. I'm living my best life. And
So adorable.
So we had the best time and I loved working with her. And so Wes saw that movie. Almost everybody saw it at the time. It was like, I think everybody watched those movies. And for many years, it was like the highest rated TV movie because she was like globally.
Yeah.
And I ran into her at a Comic-Con and I just hear this, Amanda. And I'm like, oh my God, it's my second mom. And she's just as gorgeous today and sweet and kind. Wow. So I get an audition for Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'd never really even seen a horror film. So I mean, I'd seen a couple old black and whites like Dracula and some like late night whatever.
Night of the Living Dead.
I don't even think I saw that. Whatever they would play on like Channel 11 late at night.
Yeah.
You know, and then it would go. It would go to the fuzz.
Remember that?
Even though I'm 20, I remember that.
Yep.
So I get the script and I'm reading it and it was really scary.
Yeah.
And I'd read a couple horror novels and so I was like, oh, this really reads like a good novel.
Yeah.
And at the time, my agents didn't want me to do it because they were like, if you do horror, that's the end of your career. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm just going to go on the audition, you know, because I want to go on the audition. Yeah. And so I read for the role of Nancy, which I did not get. Heather Langenkamp got. But then my callback, it was the 4 kids. It was me, Heather, Nick Corey, who's now Jesu, went back to his real name, Jesu Garcia, and Johnny Depp. And we just did an improv for him, and he told us in the room we had the part. Like, that never happens. Has that ever happened to you, like on an audition?
Never.
Me neither, since. And so my agent still didn't want me to do it. And I was like, I think I want to do it. I just think it would be fun. And I was like, no one's going to see it. Who cares? No one's going to care
managers
if I do
and
this.
agents single-handedly.
And then I wonder when I was with them, how many scripts I never got even, you know what I mean? Because they were like, pass. And I'm like, but anyway, and so then we did it. And now that movie, we're all still good friends. And because you've been around when Heather's around or whatever. We're all still really good friends. So,
Wow.
and we had a great time doing that movie. Weird to say because it's such like murder and mayhem, but it was really, really fun.
That is. Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
What were you
go
about to say?
No, just go on.
No, you're
just
probably
say-
about to say the same thing I was about to say.
No, I was just going to say that they still get together when they do autograph signings. They go to signing events.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
And-
go to like
yep.
Comic Cons or whatever. So we get to see each other many times of the year. And Robert and Steven, who's my guy, they like each other and send each other books and
Yeah.
plays and I don't know, talk stuff like that.
Well, I was going to say that because I'm a horror fan.
Yay.
Yeah, loves.
Well, see, the thing is what makes you iconic was that you were Freddy's number one.
That's right.
The very first.
Victim.
The very first.
Victim. Yep.
Yes. I like to rephrase that as I'm the first person who fought Freddy.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
And then I became his victim.
Yes.
But yeah, when you look at that movie, really, I'm only in the movie 20 minutes, I think. And 14 of those minutes in and out of that dream, I'm fighting for my life.
You
And
are.
you don't realize that
Yep.
until you go back and go, because I have scenes where I'm still sitting there talking to people, but
Right.
they're only interspersed with me fighting for my life. And
Right.
it's like really interesting way to open a film and hook people
Yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah.
which is why I think people like that movie. Because
Yeah.
it's, you're like, oh, nobody's safe.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody on a panel once say that all good horror is intrinsically sad.
Yep.
And when you look at the ones that have withstood the test of time, if you took the horror out, there's still a good story, and it's
Yes.
and it gets you in the heart. I mean, then there's also slasher films that are just dice them up.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
mindless.
Right.
Yeah, and that there's people like that too.
Yeah.
But the ones that last, so I like that, and Nightmare is that way for a couple reasons. I think it was Wes's commentary also on that generation was the first generation of divorce,
Yeah.
of mass divorce in our country. So there was a lot of latchkey kids and kids with one parent
Yep.
and kids kind of fighting for their life, just in life, like, they weren't really being as well cared for as, say, kids from the 1950s.
Yeah.
Right.
Or even 60s.
Yeah.
And so I think there was that and that the innate animalistic nature of a human is to create a family. And the four of us kids created our own family because we didn't have one at home. So
Right.
I think like on so many levels, people are able to connect with that because most of us have had to forge our own families at
Right.
different times in our life. And
Oh, that's true. What a great
Yeah.
insight. And then doing it with Johnny Depp.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, who?
Yeah.
I know, right? Man. And after that, I guess he did what, 21 Jump Street after that?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. He did. He might have done
He might
another
have-
movie or two
Yeah,
before, like
yeah.
Private School or
Yeah.
ski school or I don't know. And then he did 21 Jump Street, and he just, I is such a hard worker.
Yeah.
Like even then, he hadn't acted before, and he had a coach with him all the time, and like really, worked hard, like
Yeah.
wanted to learn everything about the camera and what it meant and how to use your props to help create more of your character and stuff.
Right.
Like he
Yeah.
really, really worked hard. And I've always thought that was amazing because, Robert had come from theater school. I'd come from theater school. So like I had that interest, and this was somebody that created that, for themselves, like
Yeah.
got a coach and did those things. And I think it for young people, I think people don't know that he worked that hard
Yeah.
at what he did, like,
Yeah.
and he really devoted his self and time to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we don't really know that about him. Unless he did maybe, if somebody was to do a documentary about him, like the Val Kilmer documentary.
Oh my gosh,
Did you see
that was hard to watch.
It was just,
painful.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Ugh.
hurt. It was just so
Yeah.
like my heart just it hurt, but
Yeah.
there was so much love there too. And
yeah. And just seeing, his perseverance, and then he's painting, his art, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
I used to see him out and about, like go to tramps. And you'd walk in and be, him, Tom Cruise, and like 4 dudes, and I'll be standing, checking out the chicks, right? And I'll be like, here I'm hanging around with like Prince and all these other people. I'm like, but when you look at them and look at their body of work and someone like him and the fact, what goes on, and it's like you and I, him, artists, you're never going to let it go. You're never going to leave it because it's part of your DNA, being an entertainer, an actor, doing
just
the
my
work.
favorite thing to do. I just love it. Like I love the possibilities. Like when you, and I know we've talked about this, when you get a script that moves you or that you feel connected to or you think is a good story or, directable, because there's a lot of scripts you go, well, that's just not even directable. But that possibilities of like, how can I help tell this story? Who is this person? How can I embody it? And I just, there's just nothing as thrilling as that to me. I mean, I love life in all of its forms, but it's my favorite thing to do. And I wish I got to do it more often. I feel like I really don't get to do it often enough.
She says she doesn't get to do it more often, but she's like the hardest working actor that I know.
Yes, you have quite a body of work.
Thank you.
And I would love to talk about so much of it, but we have a little bit of time, and of course, I want to talk about Black Magic Woman.
Oh God, you
so
have
let's
to. I
talk
was waiting
about
for that.
For that,
Black
and here I wanted to ask
Magic
about
Woman.
Better Off Dead. So we'll do
Okay,
that
well-
one, and we'll do Better Off Dead after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Black Magic Woman, which
Black
starred
Magic Woman.
Mark Hamill, Miss Amanda Wyss, and Miss Apollonia. Let's talk about some great stories from that.
I got sent that script and I barely read it because they said it was going to be Mark Hamill and Apollonia. I was like, done. That sounds like it's going to be so awesome.
You're so
And
cute.
we
met.
walked on the set the first day and sat on the floor.
Oh, we'll talk about that one. But you remember where we first met? See,
Wait,
am I older than you?
No, wait, where did we first meet?
We met at a medical office because Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, that's right.
You have to take a physical. And we walk in. I walk in. She was like, Apollonia. And I'm like,
I totally forgot.
Yeah.
The place in Hollywood. It's
Yep.
the guy's son. You used to have to get that physical before you started any job. And there was this doctor, I forget his name, and then his son took it over. It was this little like old wooden door thing.
yeah.
in
And it was so
Hollywood.
weird when they had us bend over and they gave us an anal exam for a movie.
I know. And he was always trying to give people pap smears and stuff. And it's like, oh, I don't think I need that. I'm covered on that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. And the anal, no thanks.
I was like, oh my God, we're doing a movie together.
And from that moment on, she was just
I
like this
accosted her.
little ball of energy, right? And I was like, what's your birthday? She goes, I'm a Sagittarius. So we're making this movie, Black Magic Woman, based after the Carlos Santana song. So we thought. And we sit down the first day shooting. We sit down in the little room by ourselves, right? And we were all alone. It was at night. And we started to bond and laugh, joking. And then what made us laugh even more is that we had just had food. And the food was horrifying. And next thing we know, we're like having some issues. And we're just laughing. Right? And we continue having issues. And I guess some prop guy walks in. He walked in. He was like, oh, like,
Oh my God.
right?
Sorry.
We were just laughing, and then I started getting bitchy. I was like, well, what do you think? I said, craft service. What the hell are they feeding us, for God's sakes? And
so
that's
funny.
how we bonded. We were sitting there laughing.
We had fun
Tears.
every day on that set, even though it was a very difficult shoot. It was difficult production wise. The script had a bunch of problems.
Yeah.
The director
I could talk about it.
was
Yeah.
there was just a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But despite that, though, we all had a really good time. The three of us, or you and I especially,
Right.
had a
We
great
had a
time.
blast.
Yeah.
But we had a director, I'll say, Darren Warren, and she had just come from the theater. She had just been directing Angelica Houston. Well, it didn't
It didn't translate.
Didn't translate. Thank you. I was going to say the F word. And she was just, we were having
it was just a very difficult shoot.
And we were excited because, Amanda and I was like a lady, director, theater.
Yes. And it was 2 great roles for women.
Yeah.
It was a horror film, but slightly elevated. And it had Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And it had so much possibility. And it was really disappointing, actually.
Yeah.
It was ultimately super disappointing. And it had fairly decent sized producers.
Right.
It was, it had all the makings to have
something
movie.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, but our friendship has lasted solidly
Since then. We got along great, and then we get
my
to work
family
with
loves her.
my God.
Everything. Yeah.
parents. We get to work with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
We have a scene where we have to make love, and it was so cute because Mark Hamill's standing there in his little tighty whities. He's kind of like standing there like, okay, doing this with his hands, and I was like, okay, because nerve-wracking doing,
It is. It's
love
weird.
scenes. It dealt with Santeria, and there was something else that I was gonna. I mean, it was just so much fun, right? And Mark was just fun. At one point, like I said, the director unfortunately didn't put what was on the script on the screen, and that was really difficult for us. And she would come around, and I remember one time she goes, "Mark Hamill has agreed to work for free for the next 2 days." And then I said, "Did you say that?" He goes, "No," because she was behind schedule.
So I totally forgot about that. They wanted us to work for free.
Well, I was like, no.
The great thing is that I basically could just hide behind Mark and Apollonia because whatever they said went on the set. I didn't have any clout, but I was like, what they say.
Yeah, and what we did is that I kept track of my hours. Then I told Mark. He goes, "How many?" I go, "You're not keeping track." He goes, "No." I go, "Well, this is what So then they had to pay us, and they had to pay you. So I said, "Well, these are the extra hours." And da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
She took care of the whole
and
thing.
And we got, some pretty decent money.
That was back in the day, where an independent film, you'd still make bank. Before people were like, "Do you want to be in my movie? I'm going to pay you $50."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, thank you.
Right. Then you got what? Golden hour, triple pay. And we're shooting till 5 a.m. That's fine.
Yeah, I know, really. I'm like, as long as you don't make me waive my turnaround, we're good.
Right.
That was fun. I have to say, there's things like that maybe the reason for those movies is I look at my friendship with you, which makes my life better. And it just, you know what I mean? And there's things like the people I met on Nightmare on Elm Street. We're still all friends from Better Off Dead.
Right.
There's things, and because I didn't go to college, I consider you part of you're my sorority sister. But we were in the bad sorority.
I'll take it.
Sorority of life.
We were in the sorority of life. You're my sorority sister. Because I just find that's kind of amazing, that our friendship from that. I think it's really fun.
It is.
It makes me happy.
And that's what when we say, it's so many times you're on the set and you're all friends. I'll see you next week, and then you don't see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with Amanda and myself, here we are, and it's just been fantastic, and to think that she actually shot me in the movie.
I killed her.
Yeah, she had to kill me.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, now, going back, flash.
Spoiler, everybody.
Oh, yeah, spoiler alert.
If you
what?
see Black
Earmuffs,
Magic
earmuffs.
Woman, spoiler.
We're going to put a little arrow that says earmuffs.
Spoiler.
But in all seriousness, recently with what happened on set with Alec Baldwin, which is just so tragic to such an amazing, brilliant actor, who's, innocent. I started having PTSD thinking about Black Magic Woman because we had a gun, we had squibs, the little beads of blood, and my little sister was there. I said, I kept thinking, because could you imagine with my sister, I started getting nervous. I was like, wait, why am I replaying the past? I'm fine. It didn't happen. But you've carried, weapons, guns, other than that time in films. And that situation, I know it affected you. It affected all of us actors. And it took me back to Amanda holding the gun and, all of that.
Guns on sets are scary under the best of circumstances, and so are squibs too. Note, I don't feel like people use them as much as they used to, but they're micro explosions. And so like if you were shot multiple times, you would rehearse over and over with the prop people, like touch here first, here, do not put your hand there first.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like we had a lot of responsibility to take care of ourselves. But I was, real quick, I was on a set, a movie in Alabama that, you know, wasn't run very well. And people were bringing real guns with ammunition.
Oh,
Okay, it's not ammunition.
I love it.
It's not ammunition.
it is ammunition, baby.
They were bringing ammunition to the set. It was so scary. And I remember I called my agent and I was literally like, you have to get me off this movie because it's turning into a snuff film and I'm going to die. Like, I was really scared.
Really?
So my agent's called SAG, to Screen Actors Guild. 5 days to get there. 5 days.
Wow.
But they shut the movie down. It was very scary. It was people like it just started. One person did it, and then and there's nobody at the top saying you can't do it. And we're shooting out in the woods in Alabama, and I was just like, no, this isn't happening on my. This is not. I'm not being in this movie.
Wow.
You can sue me.
Yeah,
you
sign
can get
up
your
for this.
nickel. You can
Sign
have
up
your
for
nickel
this.
back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I
Man.
think there should never be any projectiles on set. And also, we're actors. We can fake the
kick.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, we fake everything else.
Yeah.
We can
exactly.
figure, like, we fake being stabbed. We
Yeah.
fake
All
all
of
that
it.
stuff.
Now,
like,
who was it that I think is it Clooney that's not going to use? One producer came out and says, "I'm never going to use weapons anymore." Or The Rock. It was
Yeah.
The Rock. They're not going to use real guns anymore. They're going to be, like mock-ups.
Yeah.
So
I think it's smart. I mean, over such a tragedy, hopefully positive changes will come that save more lives down the road,
Right.
or have less injuries down the road.
Right.
Hopefully, because it's a tragic, horrible situation that, as you just said there,
Yeah.
but by the grace of God, go many actors.
Yeah, all of us were affected watching that. I know I
Yeah.
was gutted by it. I thought about you. I thought about all what we do for work, and it could have been any one of us.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
on a lighter note. Now you got to tell us about Better Off Dead. That movie, my brother, my sister, they adore that. That's a classic. I mean, she's been in classic films, but tell us about your experience. And then Cusack.
Oh
If
my
you
gosh.
think of all,
He's so awesome.
the actors,
Savage Steve Holland wrote and directed it.
right?
He's a genius. He now does a lot of children's programming on whatever those stations are, Nickelodeon and whatever. One of the funniest scripts I've ever read. And no offense to anybody in the movie, the script is even funnier than the movie. Like,
Wow.
like it's pee your pants, crying down your face. Does that make sense? Crying? Where else would you cry down? Crying down your face. You cry down your leg. Crying down your leg, funny.
That's a good one.
And we all adored each other. And I mean, Curtis Armstrong is probably the funniest human on the planet, and he and I are still great friends. I love him, and Diane
he's
Franklin.
hysterical.
And
Yeah.
just, oh my God, David Ogden Stiers, Kim Darby.
Kim
Oh,
Darby, really?
just awesome. And about 4 years ago at the San Francisco Sketch Fest, it's a big comedy festival, they invited the cast of Better Off Dead to do a live read at this huge theater.
Oh, wow.
And it was the entire cast that was living, except for John Cusack, but John Heder read his part. Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
He loves the movie so much, he had the script memorized because
He
he
knew it.
loved it. It was, the audience was saying the lines along with everybody, and it was a packed theater, and it was just felt really good. And it was amazing. We had so much fun. And John Heder played he was so cool. And John Cusack, I'm just a huge fan of him as a person and as an actor, and he's lovely.
This is just incredible. Tell me about now. Okay, Kevin Costner.
I have to say, I just binged Yellowstone, his new TV series.
How is that?
Hence my Western getup. I'm super into it. I'm like, put me on that show, please. He's so phenomenal in the show. I highly recommend anybody that wants to binge a show. It's on Paramount TV or you can find it. I don't know. I'd be so bad at like promoting things. I'm like, you'll just have to go look for it. But it's really good. But he's so talented and charming, and he just can do anything, like direct and produce, and he just creates such beautiful. He's a great storyteller,
right?
Which is ultimately, and surrounds himself with the right people to bring his story to life.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key.
That
right
is
there.
the key right there.
Yeah.
So how was that making that movie? What?
Oh, Silverado, hands down, the best experience I've ever had on a set. It was magical every single day.
Yeah.
We shot in Santa Fe at this ranch called, I think at the time it was called Cook's Ranch. Sidebar, really funny story. The man who was the head wrangler there is a man named Jack Yonker, who ended up being my older sister's equestrian coach in New Mexico when she started showing her horses. And by the way, he just passed away last week, and he's the most lovely man. But anyway, I love how he came back into my life like years later. But first of all, the actors on that movie were incredible, and I just watching Linda Hunt work. Or,
Oh my gosh!
Or Kevin Kline and Jeff Goldblum were best friends and hilarious, and they both play the piano, and they'd make up songs, and they would just do crazy stuff until Larry Kasdan was crying, laughing.
See, those are the moments on set that are just priceless.
Yeah, it was just magical. And every Saturday night after wrap, there was a Motown dance party, because they had all just finished The Big Chill, so everybody was really into the music from that, and everybody went to these parties, from the guy who swept the floor to the producers, and danced until the wee hours. And all these interesting people were coming in from LA with all these stars, like Diane Keaton came to one of the parties, and Joyce DeWitt came to a party. And like all these people were coming because they were visiting everybody on the set. And Brian Dennehy, who I loved.
It's a brilliant.
And he's just such a lovely man. And he said to me one day, soak this up, take this in. It is not usually like this. And I was so young, I was like, right. And he was totally right. Like it was magical. It was just magical from soup to nuts.
That's such great moments.
Yeah. Wow.
And
That is great.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, you've worked with Jeff Fahey more than once.
Yes. I just did another Western with him called Badland.
That's what I'm looking at, Badlands.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, it's kind of funny. I basically am Linda Hunt, and he's Brian Dennehy. It's sort of like if Phoebe, my little slutty saloon girl, grew up to take over the saloon, and Jeff Fahey took over as the sheriff. I mean, like, so it was kind of fun. I mean, it was clearly the director's intent, because he wrote it and asked us to do that, and it was really fun. And Jeff is lovely, and he's just so nice and talented. And
You got James Russo and, of course, Bruce Dern. Jeez, how old is he now?
I don't know.
He's
just so phenomenal, though.
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't tell a lie. Like, I love being on sets where you get to watch someone and that they just drop in and then come forth with the truth and tell the story. And I just feel like that's like, I don't know. It's such a high.
Yeah.
Wow. And Mira Sorvino, did you have a good experience on this production?
I did. It was a little more like, it was lower budget, so it was a lot of guns and a lot of high speed, but they were very careful, which was nice, because I had concerns. It was just a lot of gunfire, and my character didn't have a gun, but I was like in crosshairs, but I never felt unsafe because they were really on it. But it was fun. It was different. It was really more like, here's your makeup, get on set. It's like, am I done? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it was nice meeting you.
Sometimes you do like some of your best work because you know that you're under the gun, literally,
Yeah. No, it's true. Like, you're not going to have the luxury of 20 takes on something. They're like, because like on something like this, if you don't like your take, you need to step out of frame because they'll use it. Somebody might want to use it.
Yeah.
So you're like,
or was it they used to teach you, right, to stop your scene and I'd like to try something different.
Yeah.
Can I try something else, please?
Yeah.
You just stop yourself because you sucked.
Yeah. and if you keep going, especially on a low budget, first of all, they're watching it on a monitor like this, and the directors now, they aren't in front of you seeing what our eyes are doing.
Yeah.
So they're not if all the moving parts work, sometimes they're like, no, that's good enough. And it's like, you don't even know. My eyes were crossed. And I was like looking at
not connected.
So it's
more technical.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I just feel I like when directors sit there and look because they're going to see what they're going to see, and you just can't see that on a monitor.
Yeah.
But I understand logistically that the monitors are great because you can see all the moving pieces,
Right?
Yeah.
and obviously I think it's more important because I'm an actor and I'm self-involved, but the director needs to tell the whole story, and so it's probably just fine the way they're doing it.
She cracks me up.
So what's in the pipeline now?
I'm working on a little series called, well, it's not little, but I have a smaller role in a series called The Resonator. It's a H.P. Lovecraft universe. It takes place at Miskatonic U, which a lot of his stories are set in. So it's sci-fi / monstery. I play Professor McMichaels, and I'm not how I appear to be.
Okay.
But
Like
it's
that appear
to be.
Sound like Letter Kenny the other day.
What happened? And it's just filled with these lovely, super talented young actors who are just, I'm so excited for. I think they're all going to have really big careers, and it just looks really cool. It's kind of like undefined. It's a little Gossip Girl meets Vampire Diaries like they just cool uniforms, and you can't really tell what era. My character always kind of wears a pencil skirt a little bit,
nice.
like 1940s.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a weird thing. And then we just went back. I'm not in the first 5. No, I'm in the first 2, not in the next 5, and then I'll be in the rest.
Okay.
Nice. So you're filming here in LA?
Here and in Cleveland.
Oh, so you've been flying to Cleveland?
I shot only in LA.
Okay.
So I won't go to Cleveland until we go back to Cleveland, because right now we'll be shooting in LA for the next ones.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. It'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So the next part of our little show is, we haven't got an official name for it yet, but we call it so far Seth's 10 questions. Okay. So I'm going to hit you with these questions. Okay. Tell me one thing about you that most people don't know.
I cry at the drop of a hat. I cry a lot.
Okay.
I'm super sensitive.
Makes 2 of us.
What's the best part about being Amanda Wyss?
I would say my friends.
Oh.
What is the most challenging part about being Amanda Wyss?
My expectations are too high.
Mm-hmm.
I come up against that a lot.
What's your highest career moment to date?
I would say that there's a little movie I did called The Id, and it was the best role I've ever had. And it was the most challenging, immersive role I've ever done. And so I think for me, just on a personal note, like I felt like that was a role pinnacle, at least, of getting to dive into something really amazing and feeling like I, mostly got it right.
Okay. The Id.
The Id.
Okay. Check out the Id. So far, what has been your biggest career regret?
Oh God, there's so many.
Give us the top 1 and 2.
The top one is I passed on reading for Larry Kasdan's next film because I decided I wasn't right for it.
Oh.
So we'll just leave it at that one. And then there's ones behind that. Choking on auditions and just where you go, oh. But yeah, passing on that was really dumb.
Okay. All right. What do you think the biggest public misconception is about you?
That I'm not a serious person. I think that I come off silly sometimes, and I actually am very thoughtful and intense about a lot of things. And so I think maybe that's just more my private side, and my defense mechanism is to be the bubbly person, and it keeps everybody away.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
What's the craziest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
Oh my gosh, all the people I've slept with. I get stories told back to me that's like somebody I know was at a dinner party with people I don't even know, and my name came up at this dinner party, and they were talking about somebody that I slept with, which I hadn't, FYI. And I was like, oh my gosh. So apparently I just am a big floozy.
Oh, see,
Has there ever been like is there a big Hollywood star that there's just been this big rumor that you've slept with that you've never slept with that you can say?
I can't say.
Okay. Okay. On that note, if sex were food for you, what food would it be?
Ooh, jalapeno peppers.
Oh. Ahua.
If you could trade places with one person for a day, who would it be and why?
Helen Mirren, because I think she's literally the coolest female walking the planet as far as actors.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
I would just like to see what her day was like.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the last is a finish the sentence. So far, and this is to this day right now. If I could do it all over again, I would.
If I could do it all over again, I would step through my fear.
Mm.
I wouldn't let fear stop me as much as I've allowed it to stop me in every area of my life.
Wow.
Powerful words.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Great answers.
Thank
you
you.
so
That was
much.
awesome.
I think you should name it the 10 most things you're going to embarrassingly reveal about yourself and then possibly regret later.
No.
Right? Oh my God. That's so true. That was so true. Thank you.
I think these are the most, probably these are things that are going to help people all over the world.
Yep.
That's what I look at, because I think that as we bear ourselves,
Yep.
these are the same things, that people, what you just said, I've said to, one of the things that has stopped me
Yep.
my whole life has been fear.
Fear and anxiety. So we're like,
Yes.
yeah, just
So I totally get you. We're like,
I know, I totally get you.
Yeah.
Can you be like a husband to more than one person?
I'm serious. You guys should exchange numbers. It's the best ever.
yes.
This is a great episode.
Yes.
This is so nice.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
so much.
My beautiful
Thank you for-
Amanda. I call her Amanda.
I love you.
Amanda
I
Wyss,
love you,
Amanda.
and I'm so grateful you wanted me on your show.
Are you
Well-
kidding?
No, and I am. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, before
Yeah.
you go.
It's an honor to have you. Are you kidding? Amanda Wyss in the house. I am
Yay.
honored that you took the time from your busy schedule. I know you're working and you've got a lot of other things to do in your life, but you took the time to come out here.
I love you.
I love
And
you so much.
I'm super excited, and I was nervous to drive, and I did it. So
Yeah,
but
I'm
see,
getting a little-
I drove through a fear.
And look what we've got
As
for
we-
the fams.
As we always say for our fans, we have special goodies. We're going to have Miss Amanda.
I know,
Oh,
that was
I
great.
love. And who might just my signature?
Just put your signature,
Yeah.
and we're going to have a great contest.
Oh,
we're
I
going to
love
give those
this.
away for our fans.
Got a
And
black
then we've got a
magic
DVD, a
woman.
Black Magic Woman, that we're going to have Amanda
black
and
magic
Apollonia
woman.
sign.
Woohoo!
And some lucky person, some lucky fam is going to win that. And so
Oh,
stay
that's so
tuned.
cool.
Isn't that?
All right.
Oh my
it?
gosh! And then
You
just
have to sign.
Yeah, just sign
Just the-
that. And
the
we're going to
disc.
have Apollonia
disc.
sign it.
Ooh.
And
Fabulous.
This has just been a great interview.
this was really fun.
Super out.
Oh, here.
Thank you.
What am I doing? I want one of these crystal bottles.
I'll
These
get it
are-
for you.
these
We'll
are
make sure
so-
you got it.
Oh, no, that isn't why I'm saying
No,
it.
no.
No, but
I've
we'll
just
make
been
sure you
looking
get
at
it.
them, and
This is from my friends at Crystals for Humanity.
oh, it's
And they're amethyst and crystals, a lot of energy stones for my water. And we're going to have this.
Yeah.
oh,
in
it's
our store.
fantastic.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I'm going to
Oh,
have this in
cool.
my store.
Because that's
why-
just I really believe in that. And
Thank you.
I mean, really, ultimately,
Yes.
all we have is our health.
That's right.
While we're in this
Yep.
That's right.
facade walking
Skin
through
suit.
our skin suit,
right.
walking through this spiritual experience.
That's
and
right.
that, I just think that's
I'll
heaven.
get you one.
That's
That's
so
right.
cool.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. This has
Thank you.
been. Thank you. for
Thank
tuning
you.
in.
Thank
We love
you.
you.
We love you all.
Thank you, Amanda Wyss.
Thank you for having
Amanda.
me.
And we will see you on the next episode of Apollonia
Love
Studio 6. Bye bye.